What's up, family? Gerald the Bossman here. You're tuned into the Bossman Show on AM 1010, AM 1430, 1055 The King. Let the King out at 105theking.com and the Bossman Show at bossmanshow.com. Hit me up on Instagram, The Bossman Show, Twitter at Bossman Show, and Facebook, Bossman Show. It's the Bossman on your radio.
Listen to the Bossman Show with your host, JR, Saturdays at 9 a.m. right here on AM 1010, The King.
What's up, good people? BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. The latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use your promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Yes, BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV, covering content and hot topics from A to Z, sports, music, society and culture, movie reviews, you name it, we have it. Check it out on bs3network.com or check us out on Roku, BS3 TV on Roku, as well as check out your favorite podcast on all podcast platforms or Spreaker.com/BS3 Network.
You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
We're back at it. Episode 26 Patrick Gayle Show. Season is in full flight now. We're in season mode, so it's all gas, no breaks for me. I'm doing my side job with Coach. So in between doing other stuff. So, Coach, what's up with you, man?
Like you said, season's in full swing, man. We had our first conference game this past Wednesday, so we have another conference game this Saturday. So we're right into it. Two good teams that we start out the conference season with. So we got Miles on Saturday, so we're right into it.
No doubt, Coach. Let's go back to the first part of the year. You had two games in Mississippi, close games. It's games when you guys defended very, very well. Could have won both games. We're not going to harp on that, but things happen in basketball. So, but how happy were you to go out there to that travel out there and come back with at least a split of 1-1?
Yeah, that's a rough trip. It was a long trip. But and it was back to back, not the traditional Friday, Saturday back to back, but Saturday, Sunday back to back. So it actually affected this home game because it was a quick turnaround. But, just proud of the guys' effort. They defended their tails off. They paid attention to detail. We had some breakdowns, obviously, and, that cost us in the second game. But I cannot be upset with, how they performed and how they, went to a hostile environment and came out 1-1 and then turned around and, defended our home court. So I can't be upset about, where their head is at. And we just have to, we reset every day. So after the first win, we reset for that second game. And I was, proud of how they responded in that second game against Mississippi College, who shot the ball really well. And, we have to have that mindset as we go on throughout the season.
No doubt, Coach. Like you said, man, the quick turnaround against Tuskegee. The West Campus was obviously jumping. I could tell from
It was. Yes, it was.
watching there, and I think you should play more games there. That's not my call though. But but it was like the students were into it, man, and
Yeah.
coach, like that crowd you had there really helped put you up over the edge because I could see the guys was kind of tired and I could just see that it wasn't as sharp as usual, but they fought through it and got the adversity and got the job done. And with some big threes was from a lot of the guys, man.
Absolutely, absolutely. First and foremost, our crowd was awesome, man. We definitely appreciate the support, and we were actually at the volleyball match the night before, I believe, and I was talking to some of the student body, and they all assured me they will be out, and they were, and they came out in full force, and we definitely need their energy, to pull that game out against Tuskegee. We did make some shots, and the crowd had a lot to do with our energy. So it's tough, man. 3 games in 5 days is tough for anybody, any team. So, we're very happy, but not satisfied. We want to continue, stringing games along, but we're very, happy with the outcomes.
No doubt, coach. And what I noticed is, coach, like giving away too much, man. The depth you have, man. Like you have,
Yes.
you have options, and it's good as a
Absolutely.
coach to have optionality, depending on how the game goes, foul trouble, how stuff was called, or just trying to get a spark. So, how fun is it for you and Coach White and Coach Stark to be able to look down the bench and say, "Hey, I can trust up to 12 guys to play."
Right. And I hope those guys are watching because they feel sometimes that, they look at one game as the whole season. They don't realize it's a long season and that when you have depth, different guys are going to be, the stars of the game, for different games. And the biggest thing is, we have guys that make impact that don't even have to score. They make impacts defensively. They can make an impact, passing the ball. They can make an impact communicating on the floor. Those little things that are needed to win. You don't have to score to impact winning. And, that's really when you have depth, when you have multiple guys that will do the little things to win games, not necessarily multiple guys that will score, but multiple guys that will do the little things. I was actually talking to a recruit Sunday night, and we talked about him not getting as much shots, but he said, "Coach, if I need to get a rebound, if I need to take a charge, I'll do whatever it takes for the team to win." And those are the type of guys that we have on our team, and those are the type of guys that I want to recruit. That understand winning. You can impact winning without having to score a lot because the team needs you to do other things.
100%. Like I've told this story from show coach before. I'm not talented at basketball, but I knew how to get set on the floor by doing little things like boxing out, just hustling, getting my hand in a passing lane, deflection, stuff like that.
Right.
Just crashing down, making the right pass, passing screen away. So it's like those little things that you do that if you don't have the full talent, like I didn't have all the time, and I don't have the handle that Shakur has. But I can shoot and defend and do other stuff. But I'm just making a point. That's the kind of player that I was. That's why I played. So, like Coach, you said, Coach, if you can master the small things that sometimes don't get as much flash.
That's right.
Successful in play. Look at Ben Wallace or a Bo Outlaw.
Yes.
Those guys, Andre Drummonds of the world.
And what's funny is that a lot of those guys that people look at in the league. I was watching College Park play last night. They played, I believe, Delaware last couple games. So, just seeing how talented those guys are, and those guys have to understand when they get called up, their role on the team completely changes. They're going to have to be, stars of the little things, stars of being in a gap and talking on defense and knowing the rotation, putting a hand up on shooters, stuff like that nobody talks about, that only coaches kind of can see that's important, in winning. I mean, perfect example, we play Miles. And Miles, obviously, Coach Watson does a great job, but his guys do the little things so well. They do not beat themselves. You have to go beat them. And that's why they've been so successful, because you'll win more games if you just don't beat yourself. And the really good teams, they do that. So, I hope, prospects and college players really understand that all those little things matter so much. Not just scoring, not just the dunks, the little things, and not even saying the flash little plays like charges, the being in the gap, getting your hands up, getting deflections that will lead to somebody else getting the steal, things like that. Even on offense, just calling out the play, putting guys in the right position that may not be on the same page with everybody else on the floor. Those little things matter.
Reads too, Coach.
Yep.
That's something that my dad was big on. Is he would get mad if he made the basket, if 3 was wrong, he'll still be mad at you.
Absolutely.
Because
it's a process.
Yes. The read was this. You made the shot, but he was open in the corner.
Well, that's a real coach, because actually it's funny you said that. I got mad at one of my guys for doing the same thing. That one more pass. I don't care if you make that shot. Get that one more pass. Yes, you get the points. The guy that made the pass, you gets the assist. But you know how you beat teams? Those hockey assists. That one more pass. That skip on the other side of the court that gets that defense that's in scramble mode in that weakness to attack them. That's how you beat a team, because those possessions, when you stack them, you're going to win. But if you get that one shot that was so hard to get, or that contested shot, it's actually the worst thing you can see is that shot going on a contested shot, because you're going to think that shot is a good shot, and you're going to take that shot, more times than not. Got to make a defense work.
I tell my dad, I was open, Coach. He was wider open, though. He was wider open.
I like that. He was wider open. That's right. That's right. I mean, all defenses have weaknesses, and if you're not attacking the defense weakness consistently, you're not going to be successful against that defense. So you have to know, even before the game, watching a lot of film, where are the weaknesses, and we have to attack that constantly.
And one of his little tricks was, Coach, he ain't going to get mad as I tell you this. He would put a bad shooter in the strong side corner, knowing you're going to collapse on his point guard and have his 3 shooters on the weak side. It's like, okay.
That's called chess. That's called chess, Coach. That's called coaching that we don't get credit for, but that's actually brilliant. That's called coaching. You know how the defense, if you know how the defense rotates, you have to attack it. So that's actually good stuff right there.
It was funny how, okay, you put that bad shooter in the strong side corner, he'll dribble drive. Oh, you collapsing off? I ain't gonna pass to him. I'm gonna throw it.
That's right.
I'm gonna skip to the weak side for an open shot.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff right there.
I'm gonna decode this as best I can. The D didn't see it coming. That's what he was saying. That's what he was saying.
Well, you nowadays, man, you gotta use analytics to know what's a guy's best percentage and where he needs to be on the floor, and put him in that position to be successful. So,
no doubt, Coach. Like you said, it's very much a chess game. That's something that my dad's thing about it, Coach. You probably do the same thing. Is he wanted to use your strength against you.
You have to.
So
yeah.
if I knew you were gonna collapse, okay, cool. I got something for that.
Well, for example, if you know a team likes to blitz or likes to trap ball screens, you gotta be able to use that against them and pull them out. Where you can attack, because you're going to have to rotate out of that. So you want to be able to attack that. And if you can understand how they rotate out of that, you have to attack it and use it against them.
Yeah, his whole thing, he said, I don't care about the weaknesses. I want to attack them at their strength.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That was his whole. Now, I know some coaches disagree with my father on that one, but I'm like, he was successful doing it that way.
Well, you actually want to do both, but if you're just attacking their weaknesses, good teams are going to adjust. So you have to be able to attack a team, at their strength. But I will say this: you have to be really good to do that.
He always say, he was like, "Yeah, when I attack their strengths, I suppose they weaknesses, dummies. That's what he would say.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
So my dad was cerebral. He taught me to be cerebral with this stuff. So
Right. Nah, that is true. That is true.
yeah, coach, I really
you
all the
have
time,
to,
coach.
but you have to study a team enough to do that.
Yeah.
You can't just show up and you can make some adjustments, but you got to study a team, at length to do that.
Coach, I said you and my dad coach similarly. I know you. I've told you y'all coach similarly. Y'all have similar philosophies.
Well, I mean, you said that in the past, and I appreciate that, but everybody has a different philosophy, man. That's the thing, man. I respect anyone that's in a position and has been successful. They've done something right, and I just wish that there were more, I guess, respect, just in the coaching community. Forget about outside. You already have enough people outside that feel like they can do your job, but I wish there was more success more respect within the coaching community. To me, the best coaches are the ones that, learn from everyone. They don't feel like their way and their philosophy is the end all be all. They learn from everyone. I know personally, I love going into high school practices. I love talking to middle school coaches to learn how they teach, because that's what it comes down to, is teaching the game.
And coach, I've been blessed to be around Mike Woodson, Larry Drew, Mike Budenholzer, Lori Pitts-McMillan. Learn from them, learning about different ways to play basketball,
Right.
And seeing how Bud's evolved with Phoenix now, seeing how Taylor Jenkins has evolved in Memphis now. It's good to be around basketball. I was around my father at the high school level, Saul Alexander in college, but seeing how these NBA guys and how the evolution of the 5-out is, and learning about the 5-out and seeing what goes on with that, man, is seeing how the game has changed. Like I said, I love it. I love getting on Synergy and Second Spectrum and all that good stuff, and looking at different clips, and because to get ready for the game, like, I need to know what's going on too. So it's definitely a good thing, Coach.
Well, I mean, I the names that you mentioned, I have not been blessed to be around those type of people, but I will say I've learned from locally. Kervin Davis, he's a alum of Albany State. My mentor Clark Maloney, Coach Duberson, and Coach Lawton Williams down in South Florida. I even talked to one of the coaches, Coach Nigel, up in New York, South Shore High School, Brooklyn. So I don't know. I don't know those great names that but I do know guys that do know the game and do know basketball, and I've been blessed to learn from each and every one of them.
And I can't forget Coach Hubie Brown, who I got to know as a kid, because Hawks was practicing at Morehouse College.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Right.
So I got to know Hubie Brown, Lenny Wilkins, and Mike Patello. So I've been around this stuff since a child, man, and just being around these basketball minds has been a wonderful thing for me. Just to, as I've always said, I was best at football, but I like basketball more.
Yeah. I mean, and again, man, like you have to take something from everybody to kind of create your own, and that's as a coach, I've just always learned to take from everybody, and as I've gotten into this, because I've been blessed to coach at different levels, what I learned is that coaching is coaching, man. If you can teach a young man and get a young man to do things to be successful in this game, man, you're going to be successful no matter where you go. So I've learned to really focus on that, focus on learning how to, because it changes. I mean, even teaching has changed in the last 15, 20 years that I've been coaching. So your teaching style has to be different. You cannot, when I first started out, guys were different. Guys were, people say it's tougher, but guys are just different. It's a different mindset. So you have to change your mindset now. But you know what's funny? You have to be able to educate yourself. You have to be able to study more, not just basketball. You got to study people. You got to study psychology. You got to study how the brain works. You got to study those type of things. So how is that not better, if you're learning more? So it's always constant learning, man. I want to continue to learn up until the day the good Lord, calls me to judgment. I'm not going to try to just be stubborn in one way or think I know more than anybody else just because of where I am, which is really foolish. Because you could be in a great place one day and underwater the next, and wonder where it all went wrong. So I'm where I am right now, and I'm just trying to get better and trying to get these guys to get better.
I want to ask you, coaches, about this, man. How cool is it to have students on campus who kind of look up to you, coach, like the non-basketball players who have relationships with you and know that you will help them out and be around and be on service to, obviously, community, and students can come to you as a resource?
I'll be honest. I appreciate what you're saying, but to me, that's part of the job description that I put down. That's something that if I'm not doing that, then I don't need to be here. So that's something that it's a part of why I'm here and why I'm supposed to be here. I have to do more than just, coach basketball. Your purpose is not about, wins and losses. It's about, getting young people to be the future. And that's how you build communities. A community starts where you are. Community is conceived in your mind on how you want people to be, how you want people to interact. So then you go and be that. And so wherever I am, whether it be on a campus community, whether it be in a high school or middle school or, wherever, you want to make sure that you're a resource to others. And then you want them to kind of find their own way too. So, I'm careful about what I say because I don't want to kind of tell them everything. And, I don't know what they're going through. So you just want to sometimes you got to just shut up and let them just vent and just talk. And you learn a lot just by hearing, what issues and what things they're going through right now. And you'll be surprised, man, what you hear, out there, in X world and on, in social media, that's not what these kids are going through. Don't believe the hype. Some of them are going through the same things that I was going through a long time. Oh, man, I'm thinking about when I was in college, man. I don't even want to think about that. A long time ago, but the same issues. Family, figuring out their purpose, and just, most importantly, like making sure that people around them know, hey, man, I kind of see what you're doing. You think you're fooling me, but I see what you're doing. So it's like dealing with that. How do I deal with somebody that's around me that I know is not for me, but, they swear they're getting over on me. And I just have this, this internal, conflict. Man, I want to do this and do that, but I can't because I know that there's a purpose. So a lot of young people, man, they have a lot of knowledge and wisdom that people don't give them credit for. So they help me just as much as I help them.
We'll keep it there. We got them out this weekend, Saturday in Birmingham. So we'll get that going, Coach, and we'll keep him pushing, brother. And I'll see you Saturday, brother.
Yes, sir. We're excited for it.
Folks, be blessed. We are out.
BS3 Network. Changing the way you watch TV.
Yes, BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV, covering content and hot topics from A to Z, sports, music, society and culture, movie reviews, you name it, we have it. Check it out on bs3network.com or check us out on Roku, BS3 TV on Roku, as well as check out your favorite podcast on all podcast platforms or Spreaker.com/BS3 Network.
You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
What's up, good people? Bet Online is your number one source for all your betting needs. The latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. Bet Online continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use your promo code BELIEVE. BLEAV for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online when the game starts. What's up, family? Gerald the Bossman here. You're tuned into the Bossman Show on AM 1010, AM 1430, 1055 The King. Let the King out at 105theking.com and the Bossman Show at bossmanshow.com. Hit me up on Instagram, The Bossman Show, Twitter at Bossman Show, and Facebook, Bossman Show. It's the Bossman on your radio.
Listen to the Bossman Show with your host, JR, Saturdays at 9 a.m. right here on AM 1010, The King.